The screens and the way I set the screens up, they're facing that way. So I'm going to sit up here. I got to kind of take a little bit of a demo. I didn't print anything, so I do it. I don't have to take minutes, but I do it. Mike is here. So.
The man of the hour is here.
Congratulations.
The man of the hour.
That's right.
It's not going to be this.
I got a lifetime supply. Make sure everybody has a chance to get some. If they haven't already. So.
Everyone, we're gonna go ahead and get started with this meeting. If you guys haven't had a chance to get a coffee donut, we have coffee donuts, munchkins over here. Help yourself. First of all, I'd like to introduce some of the people in the room.
There we go.
Oh, my name is Joe Hopper. I'm Town Council Ward 2. We have George Schinken back here, Town Council Ward 2. Chuck Gardner's on his way, Ward 3. David Nellens, Ward 4, and Jonathan Peterson,
Right here.
Ward 5. Clerk Treasurer Miss over the whole town. We have Bob Belois, our Public Works Director, Jim Marino, our Town Manager, Luke Kern, Public Works, important person down there. I think that's Dan Broman, wants the police, lieutenant of the division that's not patrol.
Whatever he's assigned.
Right. Anyways, I'm excited to see so many people here interested in this topic. It is a topic that all of us get asked all the time, and I like listening to it as much as you like listening to it, because it's a new pearl of wisdom every time I see it on the screen or ask questions. So there is going to be a question session afterwards. We have Mr. Mike Rowe here representing the NICTD department that's put this whole train system together, and is going to be highlighting some stuff with the PowerPoint and kind of explaining what's going on and where things are going to begin and how it's going to roll. No pun intended. So I'll give the floor to Mike and listen up.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. Appreciate the invite here. So what I got here is just a PowerPoint presentation. I just got a lot of pictures of the new infrastructure we built. A lot of these pictures are, were taken within the last few months. And then I got some screenshots as well from our website. And I know we created a new web page now, which is specifically for the Monon Corridor. So it's titled Monon Corridor 101. And it kind of gives you all the general information, frequently asked questions. The schedule's up there now. And so I'll run through all that here and then take some questions and answers. We'll do that at the end. So just starting off, I basically go south to north here. So I know folks here are most interested in the Munster Dyer Station and Munster Ridge, but I will touch on the other two in Hammond as well. But so down at the south end, this is one of the terminal stations at Munster Dyer. Size-wise, this is the biggest station. Parking spaces is 875 here. Kind of split up between the west side of the tracks, and then there is a smaller lot on the southeast quadrant, and that is for all the ADA and what we call kiss and rides. That's kind of your drop-off riders. Somebody just drops them off, picks them up, kind of like a 10-minute wait thing. So there's the ADA and Kiss and Ride, there's like 125 spaces, and then there's 750 in that big lot west of the track. So, so right here, this is obviously we extended Main Street in order to get to the parking lot on the west side. So this was from around, I want to say, Halloween last year, as the work was finishing up to create the extensions. This is looking west. That southeast parking lot I talked about is over here on the, this would be the right side of the screen. And then the platform is over here. So this is a ped bridge we installed, which is, you know, part of that ADA access to get from the southeast lot to the platform. Here's more of a close-up of that ped bridge. And then on the next slide, we got Bridge 101. So this is actually a railroad bridge that we constructed for the CSX. We needed to do this in order to create the viaduct in the underpass. This was probably one of the biggest challenges on the project, was just all the coordination involved with the Class 1 freight railroad. But we got through it, and in May of this past year, 2025, we got this bridge installed. There was coordinated outages with CSX, et cetera. But we got that done. And then this is the west lot. So this is just kind of the main entrance where the sign is that we put up, Munster Dyer Station. Like I said, there's 750 spaces in this lot. So then from that west parking lot, this is just looking east. So this is the main access building to get to the platform area. So, you know, we do have ADA ramps here. There's also a head tunnel. So this was also coordinated with CSX Railroad. So this goes underneath their railroad as well as our track in order to get to the east side, from west to east. So basically, to get from this west parking lot to the platform, you're using the ped tunnel here. Next slide. So now this is actually up on the platform. So this is looking back west. That's kind of the main, you know, west access building there. And then up on the platform, we do have an enclosed waiting area. There are, you know, there's bench seating. There's ticket vending machines in the station waiting area itself. We also have some warming shelters. This is a 6-car platform. So this is the longest one on Westlake. We have some smaller platforms as you go further north, but this is a 6-car platform. There's just another shot of the platform looking north. And then the first time we ran test trains, that was back at the end of July of 25. So at that point in time, we didn't have any of our electrical substations energized. So we were using a diesel actually just to pull our passenger cars and just run some test trains. We were doing a lot of clearance checks, you know, checking platform clearances and other things of that nature, clearances to overhead structures, et cetera. You folks have probably noticed we are running actual test trains now with electric trains. We do have 2 substations of the 3 at this point energized. We really only need 1 to run test trains, but we actually just fired up the second one within the last couple of days, and we were doing some train testing just earlier this afternoon, kind of testing out things with that second substation fired up. So keep going here. So here's Ridge. So this is at Ridge and Manor. On the west side, we got west side of Manor, we got the parking lot. This is a smaller station. The parking lot here is about 100 spaces plus or minus. There is some what I would call kind of parallel parking areas that you could pull up and do some, you know, kiss and ride drop up as well. There is ADA here. Here we just have a 2-car platform. Do want to give a shout out to the town because both this station and Munster Dyer, I think they came out very well. I know there were some betterments we coordinated on with the town, and you know, these stations came out really good. They look good. I think they're aesthetically pleasing, and they're uniform, so obviously have a similar look and feel. So and I keep going here. So this is more of a close-up. We do have warming shelter here as well, some bench seating down at street level, and then just another picture where we were doing that train testing back in the end of July from the platform. I threw this picture in there. It's a cool picture. So this is Bridge 107, what we call Bridge 107. This is the bridge we constructed over the Little Cal River. Folks probably remember before we installed the railroad bridge, there was a ped bridge or bike bridge here. It was actually located within the railroad alignment. We actually maintained that pedestrian bridge. We just shifted it to the east and then installed the railroad bridge. So this was again back at the end of July when that test train was rolling through. So picture came out good. You can obviously see the expressway 8094 in the background there. I did throw a couple photos of just the two Hammond stations here just to kind of bring it all together. So at South Hammond, this is at 173rd Street in Lyman. We do have a fairly decent sized station here. Parking wise, this is about 600 spaces. Obviously, again, there's ADA, kiss and ride, etc. There's a 4-car platform at this station. So this is one of the new stops. And then maybe of more interest is at the north end, the other terminal is the new Hammond Gateway station. So the existing Hammond station has been removed, demoed at this point. The building's still there, the parking lot's still there, but nothing's really being used here at this point. Everything's shifted over to the new station. So we do have a station house here, similar to Munster Dyer. There is at this station, you actually have two platforms. So Westlake comes in on this elevated track, and there's a 2-car elevated platform. That's for the new Westlake line. And then this is our existing South Shore line here. There's an 8-car platform new that we constructed. The track had to be realigned a bit as we removed the old station and came through with the new one. But there's ADA accessibility here. There's ramps. There's an elevator. We actually just had the Department of Homeland Security out today doing a inspection on that elevator. There's also a ped tunnel here. So basically similar to Munster Dyer, the parking lots out here on this side. In order to get to this platform out here, there's a ped tunnel you basically go through and you can get at this platform from either end. And then, like I said, Westlake is up here. So as I get into kind of how the operation is going to work in the schedule, I can touch on, this is a transfer point. You could get between the two lines at this location. So, and this pretty good sized parking lot as well. In total, we have the main parking lot here, and then we do have some like overflow at where the old station is. I think we have around, I want to say 750 spaces here at Hammond Gateway. All right, so then just getting into our, like I mentioned, our new webpage. This is Monon Corridor 101. So here you can find a lot of frequently asked questions. The schedule you can view. I'll go with the zoom in shot here. So we are going to run similar to existing line. There's going to be rush hour trains. So rush hour trains in the morning, rush hour trains in the afternoon, evening. And then we kind of have our non-rush hour shuttle trains. So AM rush, probably somewhere I'd say between 6 a.m. and 8:30. It's kind of the rush hour. Be running trains basically about every 30 minutes. These trains will originate at Munster Dyer. They'll stop at Munster Ridge. They'll stop at South Hammond. They're actually going to blow through Hammond Gateway. So they're not stopping there. These are express trains. So they're going to pick up at those 3 stations. Next stop's going to be Hanglish on the existing line. And then you're heading basically north express, heading downtown. These trains will move. You've probably seen us doing some testing out there, but max authorized speed in certain locations is 79 miles per hour. So these trains will move quick. And, we're basically promoting, we'll get folks from Munster Dyer to the city in basically an hour or less. I think we're calculating somewhere around 55 minutes or so. So, and then in the afternoon, it's going to work similar. We're going to be running trains from downtown back to the Munster Dyer area. So again, trains are, I'll let Wendy do her thing here.
Sorry to
No, you're
interrupt.
good.
I noticed that it's not sharing the screen with the public. So
Oh.
I thought, oh my God.
Very good. Thank you.
Sorry, intermission.
No, you're good. Thank you. So again, these trains will be express. The rush hour is going to be from about 4 or so in the afternoon to like, 6:30, I would say, in the evening. So again, these are going to be express. They're going to be moving quick. They're not, stopping at every single station on the Metro Electric District, or again, they'll bypass Hammond Gateway and kind of hit those 3 southern stations on Westlake. Now, the non-rush hour shuttles, this is kind of your midday train. So after 9 a.m. to maybe about 3 or 4 p.m., these are just going to be 2-car shuttles. So we'll be running some longer trains with the express trains, but 2-car shuttles are basically just going to be going from Munster Dyer, Hammond Gateway, just kind of going back and forth. So if you want to head downtown or head to South Bend, if you're going that direction, heading east, you will have to make a transfer at Hammond Gateway. I think at this point, we've kind of got our schedule figured out where no one's going to have to wait very long if you're making a transfer. So if you get off at Hammond Gateway and want to transfer to the existing South Shore line, you shouldn't have more than like a 10 or 15-minute wait. It gives people enough time to get from that elevated platform down to the 8-car platform in the existing South Shore line, but you're not going to be standing waiting there forever. So so that's basically how the off-peak trains are going to work. Like I mentioned, we do have some frequently asked questions on this website. I do want to just touch on, obviously, safety is important. I know our safety department is doing, we work with Operation Lifesaver. We're doing a lot of, I don't know what the term would be, but like PSAs kind of, where we're going to, visiting with local schools. I know we did up in Hammond, we did a kind of an emergency disaster drill back in December where we had police and fire out there. I know there's been some like classroom training as well, just getting everybody familiar with the fact, like, there's going to be a railroad here now. So, you've probably seen a lot of signs we've been putting up. Our safety department's been doing it where it basically says, see tracks, think train. It's kind of the catchphrase here. We want everybody to be aware, like, there's something new coming in the neighborhood here. And obviously, just like crossing the street, make sure you look both ways, make sure you follow all the bells, whistles, signals, etc. So, and then I do want to touch on the quiet zone. So we've been working together with the city of Hammond and the town of Munster. Basically, both municipalities have submitted a joint application to the FRA for a quiet zone. That quiet zone will be in effect by the time we get to revenue service, and I will touch on the schedule here shortly. But basically, what the quiet zone means is we have installed additional safety measures at each crossing which allows us to not to have our engineers and our train crew blow that horn every single time they're going through a crossing or rolling through, the neighborhood. In the event of emergency, they still might have to blow that horn if there's something that warrants it. But, generally speaking, if there's no problems, no emergency, with the quiet zone in effect and all the safety measures we've implemented, they won't be blowing, horns constantly. So did want to touch on that. And then before I just get to the last slide here, just regarding the schedule, construction is essentially done at this point. We're basically just working through like punch list, work list items at this point with our contractor. We are targeting to be, well, we're doing a lot of testing now, as probably people have seen, electric train testing. We actually just put our notification in today to the FRA to do simulated service. So that's going to happen in February. Simulated service basically means there won't be any passengers, but we're going to run the train schedule for 2 days as if, you know, this is the operation. So we're going to be running the trains all day, the Westlake line, the rush hour trains, the off-peak shuttle trains. We're going to do that for 2 days. FRA is going to be out there observing. So we're going to do the necessary testing, all the documentation. If all goes smooth, which I anticipate it will, then, you know, we're anticipating revenue service in March of this year. So I'm personally telling people by the end of March, we will be running trains. I know our president likes holidays. So I think the target right now is St. Patrick's Day we're kind of looking at. So I think there'll be some sort of, you know, ceremonial ribbon cutting, whatever you want to call it. And then a day or two later, we'll be running service and running revenue trains. So I'd say sometimes around St. Patrick's Day, definitely by the end of March, we'll be running trains. So, and then in order to get more information, this is that Monon Corridor 101 site I mentioned. It's kind of a long URL, but our normal, our typical day-to-day website is mysouthshoreline.com. And then to get to the 101 page, it's /writers/Monon-corridor-101. And then we still have our westlake.com website. This is where we've been putting all our construction updates. We're still maintaining that site and updating it there too. You know, you still get some information there, but this is kind of where we're directing everybody to now with the service upcoming. So, so that was the last slide. So I will stop with the presentation. I guess open it up to any questions and provide answers. You have something to say?
I just was going to let everybody know that this is being recorded and it will be on the Town of Munster website as well as the PowerPoint, and it's munster.org. So if you didn't quite catch something, I saw some people straining to see the screen. You can go online and see it at your leisure. Probably sometime tomorrow is generally when everything gets posted. All right, questions for Mike?
All right, in the back.
What are you guys going to do to address security for the transfer? People have been waiting a long time.
Yeah, so as far as safety and security goes, we do have our own transit police. We have them on the existing line. The transit police will be patrolling the new Westlake corridor as well. We have CCTV cameras at all of these new stations and in the parking lots. I don't know the exact numbers, but I do know we have as many cameras now on this new line than we do on our existing South Shore line in total. So there's a lot of cameras on this new line. You know, it's kind of the newest technology we're using. Obviously, we'll have PA systems. The announcements will be out there like usual. We do have in the parking lots as well and up on the platforms. We have those emergency telephones. Maybe you've seen those like at shopping malls and that sort of thing. But in the event of emergency, somebody could go up to one of those as well. It basically routes directly to, you know, 911. So in the event of emergency, you know, there's that as well. So yeah, the back.
Yeah, I got a question about the bikes on trains.
Sure.
I try to use that sometimes on the old one. Do you have similar rules? Can I get on all the stations to get to the dunes?
Yeah, so we will have bikes on trains. The same rules will apply on the existing line on this new line. And like I said, if you're going east, you know, it's going to work the same way. But you know, you will obviously Westlake is geared to just go north south and then head downtown. So you will have to transfer in order to head east if you're going to like the dunes or something.
And then what about like to get to the Munster Dire station from Munster? I'm not sure if there's sidewalks and things down that way or sidewalks.
I mean, there is pedestrian accessibility, there's bike accessibility. I mean, the main vehicular access is going to be that extended Main Street, obviously, that viaduct. There is sidewalks aligning that viaduct. like I said, from that 88 Kiss and Ride lot too, we have the ped bridge. So from that lot, you can get over the platform area. I know we do have a bike rack at the kind of the north end of that platform as well. So I mean, there's ways to it to get to it. I realize it's a big lot, you know, and you know, obviously Main Street, but I think that's really your main thoroughfare to get between the east and west side is the extended main.
And the rules will be the same, you can get on the train 7 days a week, year round, just like we saw.
Yeah, and I know, you know, I'm not in the group that works on what we call it, like the fair equipment and establishes the fairs, but I know it's based on our existing South Shore line, and it's kind of figured out based on the distance from a particular station to get, you know, they're putting zones.
Sure.
So I know these new stations are in some of the same zones as stations on our existing line. So I mean, the fee structure kind of works the same. And yeah, I mean, you buy a ticket, you can get a round trip, you can get a, you know, 25 pass, whatever, like the existing line. So,
I look forward to it, thank you.
all right, thanks. All right, right there.
Is it a temporary concept to do it from, you know, getting the train from Hammond? Because it's really inconvenient for a Munster resident to go, you know, if I'm in Munster, I would rather just go to East Chicago and get the train instead of going to Munster, taking the train, waiting, taking it from Hammond. I mean, it's a little bit, I'm hoping it's temporary, not a long-term plan.
Yes, I mean, the shuttles I talked about in the transfer, that's really during the off-peak hours. Obviously, for commuters that are going to work or, you know, whatever to head downtown, there are going to be those express trains during the peak period.
Right.
So I mean, those will go straight downtown from whatever station you're getting on at
Even
Wesley.
at 9 o'clock or?
I mean, 9 o'clock, you're kind of getting to the tail end of the rush hour, and I don't have the ability to click on the schedule here to actually see it, but
8:30.
yeah, normally it's like 6 to like 8:39. You're kind of at the tail end of the rush hour. But, and I mean, the trains will operate, I guess, similar to our existing line. So like that first one in the morning, like I said, it's kind of around that 6 a.m. time frame. You know, there might even be one like 5:45, whatever. And then the last one at night will be arriving. All the trains are going to be stored. We have a new yard that we also built as a part of this project up in Hammond here, the Gateway Station. But, you know, similar to existing line, I think we have a period of between like 1 a.m. and maybe 4:30 where there's like nothing happening, no trains run, everything's kind of in the yard. That's when our coach cleaners are cleaning the vehicles. You know, that's when like some of that maintenance is happening in the middle of the night. But you know, then that first train kind of heads out early in the morning. On our existing line, a lot of them are coming from Michigan City. But so it'll be a few hours, there'll be nothing happening. But you know, first train's gonna start, and that last train probably won't be getting back to the yard until after midnight, maybe even pushing 1 a.m. So.
I live in community estates, and I see on Ellison, you have sidewalk that goes right up the platform. There's concern among the neighbors that people will be coming in and dropping off people there. So I don't know if there's any, this might be a question for Tom, but if there's any kind of something planned that, you know, to keep people coming there and just using the ride, kiss and ride lot.
Sure. I mean, I know there's been discussions with town staff. We've talked about, you know, basically no parking signage along Allison there, especially on the side of the street where our facilities are, station platform. Like I said, we do have our own transit police, so I think if there's something established there, our guys can help, you know, enforce that and, you know, make sure people aren't doing something they're really not supposed to be doing.
Well, because people aren't, you know, just to discourage people from dropping off people over there versus going to the main lot, to the auxiliary lot.
Yes.
I think it would be easier anyway, but
Okay.
people will.
Yeah. No, I mean, duly noted, there's a concern there, and we'll continue to meet with the town and do what we need to do to address it.
So I got a question regarding that.
Yeah.
If you are from community estates, you just can't walk up on that side and go on the platform. You've got to go underneath the bridge, don't you?
No, walk right up.
You can?
So
You're
from
gonna
the,
load on the side of community estates?
I mean, there is a walk there. I mean, you're kind of cutting through NICTD's property. I know
But don't you have to walk on the west side in order to board the train?
so you can get to the platform from
Either side?
either end.
Okay.
So, yeah, either north or south end.
Okay.
Now, I know there's some gates we haven't installed yet, because we did put in a site access road there too. That's for our maintenance vehicles. And we have some of the gates installed in Hammond already, but we haven't put the gates down here where, I mean, they will be locked. It's really for Nikki access to our site access road. I think we also intend to put a gate in that sidewalk area. So I think that would help kind of
Well, that was really
discourage
nice for
people as well.
people in the neighborhood, because I know a lot work downtown, so they're looking forward to that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, in the back.
So is there gonna be like food at the station?
I know transit-oriented development is something we expect to come out of this project. I mean, there's no vendor space right now at this new station or any, anything near it, but I mean, something could pop up. I know we do have vending at some of our stations, so it's possible we could end up with like a vending, some vending there, but at this point, that's probably about it, right? Yeah, you never know. Yeah, right there.
Yes, sir. Respectfully, I have 3 questions.
Sure.
Fine.
Go ahead.
First, whatever happened to the sound barrier that you were supposed to put up, that you decided not to on the east side of your tracks from Fisher Street to Ridge Road?
Okay, so I know we have sound barriers
On
installed
the west side,
throughout the corridor, yeah.
but not on the east side where the homes are.
Yeah, so a lot of this goes back to our, we had to do an environmental impact statement. The final FEIS and ROD, that's where they do a lot of the studies that pertain to noise and vibration. Those engineering studies basically determine where all the noise walls needed to go. It's based on multiple things. A lot of our sound is generated more at the wheelbase. So because these are electric trains, we're not going to generate the noise like a freight railroad would. Like I said, a lot of our sounds at the wheelbase, that's where the kind of the vibration would come from as well. It's also based on proximity of residences or businesses to the railroad. The elevation also comes into play as well. If something's at a higher elevation versus a lower elevation. So basically there was a whole study done, kind of determine where all the noise barriers or sound walls needed to go. I know we also do have, a lot of drainage ditching and kind of like what I would call landscaping barriers as well that have been established along the corridor. So at this point, I mean, we've complied with the environmental impact statement and all the studies that were done. So I mean,
It's 15 feet from a bicycle and a walking path. You realize that?
yeah, so obviously the pedestrian or the trail, the Monon Trail, obviously was kept intact in a lot of areas. I know we do have fencing as well throughout the corridor that was also, established based on all the engineering studies, et cetera, that were done.
Number 2, and it's from what you said tonight,
Sure.
you said you had parking on the southwest side of Ridge Road and the southeast side of Ridge Road. Southwest side of Ridge Road is a little strip mall with 10 to 12 little small stores. That's their parking. The southeast side is for Aurelio's and Kentucky Fried Chicken. When that was redone, when the lot was redone and Aurelio's was rebuilt, there was no barriers put on the south side of that parking lot, which allows cars to beat the 4 stoplights on Ridge Road coming across an open line right on South Street. We plan on barricading that or stopping that from traffic coming through that open area into a neighborhood.
Okay. I mean, what you're describing sounds like it's outside of our right of way. I'm not saying there's not some sort of potential issue
You
there.
were going to put parking, you were going to buy all kind of houses on Harrison Avenue. That went bye-bye 2 years ago. But now you said tonight that you had parking on the southwest side of Ridge Road and the southeast side of Ridge Road. What parking lots do you have?
I mean, there's only one parking lot at Ridge Road, and it's roughly 100 spaces, and it's opposite the platform on Manor.
It was supposed to be north of Ridge Road where the duplexes were, where the town received a little over $100,000 to put in a green space.
Okay, well, we do, I mean, there's the parking lot, we do have a detention pond that we put in, north of that lot. So, I mean, we're gonna be maintaining that as far as drainage and that goes, and,
I think when you mentioned the southeast lot, you were talking about Munster Dyer.
yeah, Munster Dyer has 2 lots.
Yeah, so I think that's what you were talking about.
Sorry,
Yeah, okay.
and I stand corrected. I thought you said southeast and southwest of Ridge Road.
Okay, sorry, yeah, no, I think that's where the confusion is, Munster Dyer versus Ridge.
Number three, you said tonight, I was out there watching the track. I live 2 houses away from that blessed track. And I'm being respectful. That train flying down there at least 50 miles an hour. You said the speed for the train is 79 miles an hour. And I read it, you're absolutely correct. Not through urban areas. And I'll quote Title 49, Code of Federal Register 236, subpart G. A speed that will permit stopping was within one half of the range of vision, but does not exceed 20 miles per hour during an urban area.
That's restricted speed, sir.
I'm sorry?
That's restricted speed. That's reserved for basically freight cars. And if a
No,
train
that's
is
it.
a signal.
Doesn't say that.
Yes, sir.
It does not make a decision, a distinction between freight and passenger.
You know what the speed was on that track before when the Monon Railroad had it?
What it was?
Well, I mean, before when the Monon had it, CSX had it, 50 miles an hour. That's
So-
probably
so you're
before you
saying-
bought the house.
So I'm talking to him, but you're giving me an answer.
Well, I used to work for a railroad, sir.
I don't care who you work for.
Okay, I'm just giving you correct.
I'm asking, are you gonna send that train through a neighborhood at 79 miles an hour?
So, like I mentioned earlier, max authorized speed is 79. I do want to clarify, that doesn't mean we're running 79 the whole 8 miles from south to north. I mean, there are areas where we have civil restrictions, there's speed restrictions. I mean, it's kind of based on tangent track curves, there's a lot that goes into it as far as what's the max speed and say.
Reading about this and looking up things, you have lowered the speed of your train coming through sections of Gary to less than 25 miles an hour. The roads that run parallel to your track, they have a speed limit of 25 miles an hour, and you want to go 80 miles an hour, 79 miles an hour. And you find that safe?
Metro does it all the time. If you go out to Hinsdale, Naperville, Berwyn, if you go out to Geneva, Illinois,
Do you find that safe?
Sure.
You find that safe?
absolutely. Now, that being said, the reason in Gary is because of the crossing gates. And I guarantee they probably won't do 79 going across Ridge Road or Fisher Street. But if there's no grade crossing and there's fenced access, why
We
not?
blew through Ridge Road tonight at 50 miles an hour.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, there's 4 quadrant gates there. Is that correct?
There's 4 quad gates
Yeah.
at all the crossings on the west.
So you're gonna have a bike path. Munster's got a plan to put in a bicycle path on Ridge Road and parking there, and you want a train coming through there that fast.
You got a gate.
And when it hits a kid, you're gonna say it's safe.
The trains be stopping at the station.
Well, I was just gonna say, when you're close to a station, the trains can only go so fast because they're slowing down as they're coming in, and they're obviously starting at 0 when they're leaving the station. So, I mean, it takes time to accelerate, et cetera, too. So. One more question?
I have a question.
I'm just gonna ask an obvious question, but do you have enough equipment to man or to equip all these trains along with your regular runs and these additional runs? Is there enough equipment in the system to
Yeah, so for
manage it?
Westlake, it's gonna be a 32-car fleet. We only need 26 to actually operate the entire service for Westlake. So you always have a certain percentage of spares you need to have. All the cars be ready to go here when we start up revenue service. And our train crews, a lot of the test trains you're seeing, some of that is what we call physical characteristics training. So that's our crews getting their training and their familiarity with the new line. At this point, all the crews that are going to be assigned or dedicated to Westlake, they've already received their training, but we do want every employee to be trained. So, people call off, they're sick, somebody that typically is operating train on existing South Shore needs to work on Westlake for a day. I mean, we're making sure everybody's going through the training.
So it's a dedicated fleet for the Westlake's corridor.
Correct. Yep.
Mike, we have a question up here too, please.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Who wants to go first? Okay.
I live right off of Manor and Ridge.
Okay.
So I hear the train horns going because they're testing. And you said when they're operating, they won't be using their horns?
Yeah, so
Unless
once that quiet zone's established, so kind of just to give an update on where we're at in the process, there is a notice of establishment that has to be given. We've actually been coordinating with the city of Hammond because they're technically the lead on that application to the FRA. On the 28th, was a week from today, they're going to submit the NOE, which then triggers a 3-week process to establish the quiet zone. So our contractors right now finishing up some quiet zone related work. There's some additional signage we need to get done. And then there's also kind of a minor curb modification we need to do at Fisher Street in order to be fully compliant with what the FRA wants. The FRA is going to send somebody out close to the end of that 21-day period to do kind of a final sidewalk and inspection. Assuming everything goes well, that 21-day period would end on February 18th, and at that point, the quiet zone would be put into effect. So once we're in revenue service and running trains, the quiet zone's established. Unless there's an emergency, they don't, have to be blowing horns, etc. As long as we're still kind of doing our testing, though, obviously we are blowing horns.
And I have
We have a
a fun question.
Yeah, yeah, Bob.
Do your maintenance crews blow their horns?
Or our maintenance crews.
They will blow horns,
The
correct?
maintenance, yeah. So if it's like a maintenance rolling stock, so they are going to blow.
I just wanted to let everyone know that.
Yeah, no.
If they hear a horn, it could be maintenance as well.
Yeah, no, good point.
I had a question about the convenience of the shuttles. So sometimes I'll take the train home, like from Chicago, like later at the night, obviously past rush hour.
Okay.
And I was wondering, like, would it be quicker just for me to stop at East Chicago and drive myself home? And also, like, how comfortable are these, like, stations if I'm waiting?
So all the warming shelters have heating. So as long as you're inside a warming shelter or in like 2 terminal stations have a station building and access building, you can obviously stay warm in there. It's better than sitting out on the outside. And the warming shelters have those kind of like windbreaks as well. So yeah, those would be good.
And then how long is the actual train ride from the Hammond Gateway to Munster?
Oh, so yeah, just from one end to the other, let's say it's roughly around 15 minutes or so, something like that. From like, just to the 8 miles from the south end to the north end.
How long is the wait between the trains if you do have to cross over?
So if you're doing the transfer, it's about 10-15 minutes max is the wait. So. Yeah.
The south end where Main Street runs into the viaduct, south end of Community Estates, there used to be a fence along there, last 2 lots that leads up to your substation. It was all taken out, thrown out and done. I'm the last house, I'm on the corner of that fence that's up there. Would they ever have any intention of replacing the fence, at least along the 3 lots up to the substation of sort, to differentiate from anybody walking in and going to the subdivision anyway? Because it looks like.
Yeah, I know we haven't done like I said, we're starting to work through the punch list and the final kind of work list with our contractor.
Yes.
I mean, there is final restoration that also needs to be done. I can't tell you for sure whether that fence is on the list or not, but obviously in the spring here, we'll kind of be doing that final restoration. And like I know it's been pointed out to us, there's dead vegetation and other things, and that will get addressed, at the end here, but, obviously our contractor just wants to come back and kind of do it once in the spring and then we're done. So.
Today's connection from the train coming out of the south. So I think you've got the double track and then out to the south. So your left hand is not able to get the connecting train over the road. So the trains that we're going to transfer the tracks, are they coming out south end or are they coming back east?
Yeah, I mean, our main yard on the existing line is in Michigan City, so that's where our yard and shop is. We do have layover tracks now that were built in Miller. That was part of the double track project. So some trains terminate or kind of start out like in the Gary area. We have the majority are probably coming from Michigan City. And obviously there's only like select trains that would go all the way east towards like South Bend and the airport there.
So you're basically looking at the trains.
Yes, you're basically getting off, the two-car shuttle, and you're getting onto an existing South Shore Line train, which is probably generated from the yard.
Gonna ask a question, if I understand what's being discussed here, in the morning on the rush hour run, you skip the gateway station in Hammer, which is the transfer station, and those trains are dedicated to go to Chicago.
Sure.
So if you wanted to go east, you wouldn't want to start at the Munster Hammond station on the Mona because you're going west.
Yeah, you're really going west to the city on those express trips.
So you would need to go up to like East Chicago and catch a train there that's going to take you.
Yeah, so if you did want to go to like the Dunes or Michigan City or South Bend, I think, you would just look at the normal day-to-day South Shore Line schedule and just catch the train that made the most sense to get you out.
Sure, midday you go to the gateway and then you can catch a train east or west.
Correct. Yeah.
I have a follow-up question about the shuttle.
Sure.
So if it's like a 25-minute drive to like East Chicago and about like a 15-minute train ride, like 10-minute wait, like how does it like make sense to tour my time?
So you're saying if you're doing the train?
Yeah.
So you catch a non-peak train. If you're starting at Munster Geyer, it take you 15 minutes to get to Gateway. Yeah, I mean, you might have about a 10-minute wait for the transfer. I think convenience is part of it, depending on where you live. Obviously, the drive to get to the station can be a lot.
I think he stated you would go to Chicago first, right? That goes straight through.
Oh,
It does.
usually when I go now, I just
You try to get Chicago. Yeah.
Yeah, like my daughter's gonna take express, she goes to Chicago now, so she'll do the express, rush hour.
Yeah.
Where it just goes straight.
If I'm like coming home like off peak though, or would have to like wait the same amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a potential, it's kind of like almost a walk, but I think you just probably need to, whatever you think works best for you. Obviously, the schedule's not changing now as far as like catching it in East Chicago. And both schedules are up on the web now, so you can look at the regular schedule and the west.
Are you running any special events trains like barricade, for example? Are you gonna run when it's happening season? Are you gonna do any extra special event schedules for Palooza's going on or Taste of Chicago?
Yeah, so I know we run obviously special event trains now. I know we just did it with the Bears in the playoffs here, but
is that something that's gonna be on this end?
so I think the special event trains are really going to be still on the existing South Shore Line. So I think if you're catching a train from Westlake, you probably want to transfer to get that special event train. I haven't heard any rumblings or word on whether there's going to be special event trains like generated from
Because the Bears are good now. I don't know if you know.
Well,
Yeah, they're gonna be right here.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. No.
Quick question. For the occasional rider taking this new line to the transfer area, am I going to be able to buy a ticket on the train when I get on People taking it to Chicago?
So there's ticket vending machines at all of the new stations. So the ones that have station houses or access buildings, they'll have ticket vending machines in those. Also in the warming shelters on each platform, there's ticket vending machines. So
Is there someone on the train that I could talk to?
the conductor's there. I know there's always been historically kind of like a penalty if you're buying it on the train, you get charged an extra buck to do it. We're more and more, I think, trying to encourage people to use the app, use the ticket vending machine.
For those people
Understood. I don't think the ability has ever really gone away to buy a ticket on the train, but yeah, I mean, it's still available. There is like like an upcharge though. Yeah. But it's a
If we're taking the South Shore and then we're transferring to the Shore, would we need like a transfer ticket or like a sub, or we just show like our pass? Also, you can only have like, it'll say like they've already checked their ticket. So would there be any issues like on the transfer?
Yeah, so you don't need to get like a new ticket for the transfer. When you get on, they'll basically just look to see that you came from Westlake, but you don't need like an extra ticket per se.
So I have a question. I live south end of town, and we're happy for the train across, so it's a good thing. But this is kind of a question for you, but kind of for our town council. The traffic on Main Street can be pretty heavy and pretty crazy at times. So I'm wondering and curious, did you do like any studies to find out if that's going to take and increase the traffic on Main Street, or coming through White Oak? And if so, I just wondered, I live in White Oak Estates, and it's really hard for us to get out of our subdivision, and there's no stoplight or whatnot. So I just wondered, how do you think or anticipate that the Munster Dyer Station is going to take and impact our traffic on Main
Street? You're working on the DVG.
Correct, I am.
Project, can you share a little bit with the residents what's going on Main Street?
Yeah, there is a plan to upgrade Main Street between us and mostly us, but Dyer was involved as well. So there will be, the plans are designed right now. We just have to go to the next step. I think construction was, I want to say 27 or 28 planning, but there is a plan in place.
Okay, so does that mean that if you take and you put like 4 lanes, does that mean then that you're going to put up more stoplights so that we can get in and out of subdivisions?
I don't want to say what was designed until it's publicly out there. So, but there is a plan in place. There is connectivity also with sidewalks and bike paths. And that's pretty much it.
And it's essentially going to go from the train station to that bridge.
Correct.
The first phase.
Yes, but is it going to be the express lanes on weekends?
So the weekend schedule is going to be similar to our existing South Shore line. So I feel like nothing's really considered express per se.
So there won't be any direct trains.
Yeah, I think at the weekends you're more kind of just following the existing weekend schedule, and you're probably doing the transfer.
Our schedule's much subject to change based on ridership. If you see a lot of activity, is there a chance things get changed at all?
Yeah, so I know like when we opened our when the double track project wrapped up, that schedule changed at least a few times. Once I think you start seeing how things actually work once you start running the service, and then all those little kinks start to, there's certain things that might appear, and you start making tweaks to the schedule. I'm not expecting it so much with this new line as kind of with double track. Obviously, the volumes, trains is different as well, but yeah, I mean, we're always going to be kind of monitoring that, make tweaks if needed.
All right, I'm going to go ahead. Any more questions? I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. I'd just like to say, again, it's really impressive and refreshing to see the amount of people that showed up for this information showcase. And, you know, there's a lot to be excited about, and there's, you know, good questions were asked. Again, this is our second coffee with the counselors, or coffee with the council. And we are. That's not on the, and Wendy. But we are going to, we don't have the next one scheduled at this point, and we do encourage or would invite, if you guys do have a topic that you'd like covered or answered, you know, you could email any one of us so that we could, you know, put together a topic or get the, you know, the stuff together so we can answer questions. I want to thank our friends at Dunkin' Donuts for providing our refreshments. The Munster Dunkin' is outstanding. And that pretty much wraps up the evening. And again, thank you very much for coming. Thank you. Mr. Mike Rowe, thank you very much for
Mike, thank you. Appreciate you being here. A lot of questions coming your way. All right.